Hi, welcome to Matt's Garage. Today is the first of a 5-part series where I'm going to be doing some key upgrades to this 1950 Chevy 5-window pickup truck. As some of you know, I just finished restoring a 1966 Ford Bronco, and I've had this sort of in the wings waiting. The plan is to do a few key upgrades to give it to my dad so he has something to take to the Cars and Coffee in his hometown. The upgrades are pretty simple. First, the fuel tank in the cab. This one, it smells like fuel whenever you get into it, and maybe there's a way to seal them up so it doesn't happen, but I think a cooler, more modern, and more practical solution is to do a in bed or under the bed fuel tank conversion. Speedway Motors sells a kit that is fuel injection ready with the pump and all the fittings and rollover valve and all that, so I'm going to incorporate that into the build. Second, this has the original leaf springs in the rear. What they did was use a extended perch to lower the rear, and it rides like a mule in the back. Like, you'll go over a speed bump in the front with the IFS that it's been converted to, and it's great, but then you hit the rear and it bucks you. So I'm switching to a total cost involved 4-link rear end with coilovers that I also got from Speedway. The car has rear discs, but no one ever hooked up an e-brake cable. There are no e-brake cables, so I'm gonna install an E-stopp electronic parking brake system, also from Speedway. I picked up a bench seat because this has some really cheesy racing bucket seats in it that do not match the vibe of the truck at all. Those are the 4 big upgrades. I've also got an electrical gremlin, like the battery draws down, so I need to figure out what's causing that. Mirror's broken, a couple odds and ends here and there, but otherwise it's got an LS motor with a GM transmission. It runs really good. It's a fun truck to drive. It just needs a few key upgrades. When I do the 4-link, I'm gonna have to pay close attention here because this, you can see the marks here. The wheel rubs on the wheel well, and this lip has already been rolled. It could be rolled a little more, but I want to see, is there a spacer back there? Is there anything I can do to change the ride height to take that issue away? The coilovers and 4-link are adjustable, so that might solve the problem right there, but that's one of the issues I need to tackle. But in this episode, we're going to focus on getting it up in the air, taking the running boards off, taking the bed off, taking a look at what we got. If I'm feeling ambitious, I'll drain the tank and weld the axle to the frame so that it is locked in position, so that when I do my 4-link, I don't lose track of where the axle was originally. I can change it later, but I want to have control over it, and if I just cut the axle out, I'll just be guessing where it lands. Now, because of the running boards and because this truck is lowered, it's a pain to get on the lift, so I just gotta watch it. Okay, I'm clear there, and I'm clear there. Let me show you what I'm talking about with that rear lift. Give you a tour underneath. I installed this sway bar maybe 3 months ago, and it's already starting to rust. So that's no good, but it makes a huge difference in the handling. Look at that. Jeez. Maybe I was supposed to paint it. It looked polished. Anyway, it's got a IFS modern sort of Mustang 2 front end. LS drivetrain. Who's doing this drive shaft? Denny's drive shafts. Okay, that's good. Heavy duty. But this is what I was talking about. You can see the, well, you can't see nothing because there you go. There you can see that sort of large trapezoidal perch that's causing the truck to be lowered, and the stock leaf springs. If you get a modern leaf spring kit, it's a much smaller leaf pack. This is like a truck leaf spring kit, and it's way, way too beefy for a hot rod. So I'm basically taking these bolts that hold the running boards on, take those off and get them out of the way. And then I need to unhook the lights. So I'm gonna figure out, did they give me a connector? It doesn't look like it. So I'm gonna unhook the lights and then I can pull the bed off. Something else I just noticed is look at what's happening to the tire here. It's literally rubbed the Pirelli off. And that's happening on that lip up there. So that also needs to be addressed. This might just be too wide a tire. And that's okay. If I need to get a different tire on here, I will. This is interesting. This tag says made in Taiwan. So the running board is a repop. I don't have hardly any history on this truck, so we're going to be discovering as we go along. This battery box looks relatively new, but it doesn't have a hold down, so I got to figure out a hold down situation. Okay, I have the running boards off and the rear fenders off, and the bed is unbolted. You can see how bad the tires are rubbing on the inside. Now, I measured these are an 1810. The fronts are an 18.8, so I think I'm gonna get with an 18.9 and like a 235, and I think I'll be good on the rear, but I gotta go try to match that style. I don't know where I'm gonna find it, but I'm gonna try. Now I'm gonna move the truck forward and use the hoist to lift the bed. Okay, I have 4 ratchet straps, 1 at each corner. The thing I like the best about this setup is that if one of these straps fails, the bed will come crashing down and do thousands of dollars of damage. So that's good. Let's see if it swings. That's looking pretty good. I don't think I'm clear enough to drive it forward yet, but I would like to get a little more clearance. So I'm just gonna scooch it up. Ryan, you get to see your cart used yet again. This thing has saved the day more times than I can say. I just may, okay? I'm just draining the fuel tank. I intercepted the line after the fuel pump, and I'm just letting it gravity drain. I was gonna power the pump, but there's so much gas fumes, I don't wanna put electricity anywhere near this thing. Maybe I'm overly cautious. Maybe it's keeping me from being a Darwin Award winner. I'd rather be the first one. This has been going for a long time. I've already filled up about 7 gallons. I put some in the Jeep. So I'm just gonna keep going until it stops dribbling. And it probably goes without saying, but I'm not gonna weld the axle into place today. It's late, and I need to let this place air out before I start throwing sparks. I just pulled the old external fuel pump out. It's Professional Products 7151. I think this is actually a pretty good pump, so I'm gonna keep that for future use, other projects, if you know what I mean. Now I'm gonna bring her down and get the seats and gas tank out. I mean, look at these things. These have no business in this truck. Pulling the fuel tank, couple 1/2-inch bolts on the strap, just cut the fillers because I don't need them. There's a tiny bit of fuel left in here, but I'm just glad that's out. I thought there'd be more crud in there, but that's clear. That's going in the log splitter. All right, let me show you what I'm working with here. I have the interior completely gutted. The AN fittings were coming through there. So I got some holes to plug, but these plates were under the carpet, and those were the seat bases. You see those tabs sticking up? These seat bases would slide onto the tabs. The seat belts are bolted to those, and these are reasonable gauge steel, so that's fine. Pretty heavy. And then the seat's bolted to that. So it's kind of a strange setup. But maybe that's a normal retrofit for this generation Chevy. I have no idea. This process has scored me a whole bunch of AN fittings though, so a couple bulkhead fittings. So that's good. I mean, this is interesting. Interesting setup. Might not be bad if I pick up a race car or something with a flat floor. I don't know if I want to keep these, but I need your opinion on the Pinion. So when I come here, let's say I put my angle finder on that. It's about 5.5 degrees, right? And it's pointed down. You know, not as down as the drive shaft, but down. Because the drive shaft is at the drive shaft's at 6.8 degrees. So 5.5 degrees, which means this end, so this side should also be at 5.5 degrees, but it's 5.5 degrees the wrong way. It should be at 5.5 degrees this way. You know what I'm saying? Like, it should be right about there. But instead it's right here, 5.5 degrees the other way. So isn't that wrong? Shouldn't the pinion angle, I'm pretty sure the pinion angle should match the output angle of the transmission, which means I can't weld this axle into position as it is. I'm pretty sure I have that right. Like, I want to match up the angles from the rear to the transmission output. I also had a pretty bad rear axle leak on the driver's side. I mean, and it's been a long time. It has totally fouled up the inside of this wheel, which is going to be a nightmare to clean. But clean it I will. I found out from some research that this is the rear disc brake setup off of a 79 to 81 Pontiac Firebird. Which is good because those parts are available. I had to order new brake pads, obviously, because these have just been caked in grease. The rotor I'm just cleaning. And then the axle seal on these is a little different than the ones I'm used to. It's an O-ring that is in a land inside the bearing. But the thing is, I don't know if it's that O-ring that's leaking by or there's also a seal on this side of the bearing. So I'm just going to press off these bearings. I've ordered new ones and just redo the bearings while I'm here. They've been sitting a long time, so probably a good idea anyway. And then I'm going to take a laser and shoot it across this axle so I can mark the line on the frame, and then I don't need to worry about location. I'll take a measurement up and down, shoot a line this way, and then wherever I put the pinion, that's where I put it. A rubber Bondo scraper and 2 cans of brake clean later, that's what it's supposed to look like on the inside. It was gnarls. Oh, also, these are 255s, and they're rubbing, which I mentioned before. So I have, and these are all date coded 2012, so I just ordered a new set of Pirellis. Same size in the front, 225, 55, 17s. In the back, I went with 235s instead of 255s, which will fit on this rim well, and they won't rub. So then I don't need to worry so much about the lip and the tuck. I can just set the suspension where I want, and the tires will fit. I won't have as much mates in the back, but you know, whatever. I was trying to figure out how to pull these axle bearings, and then I remembered way back, like in season 1 or 2, I created this tool to pull the bearings off of a differential. This is before I bought the nice one. So I don't use this anymore, but I think it might work for doing the axle. Hold steady, little fella. Okay, it's not even. yeah, kasha. Love it. Oh man. It's much brighter on the camera than it is in the shop, but I had to dim the lights so I could see my laser. It needs to come over just a tickle. Yeah. Yeah. All right, now I've got my front to back set. Let me take a measurement off the frame, see how, well, actually right now the suspension's not loaded, so that's not relevant. So I'll have to take the measurement when I put it on jack stands. That is 5.5 inches to the back of the lip that there's a lip where the retainer bolts onto, so it's to the back side of that lip. This is more for me than you guys. Let me just check to see if it's the same on the other side. Oh no, it's 5.5. Yeah, it's a little bit. Yeah, this frame's not perfectly square, so yeah, about 5.5 inches. So that'll be my reference side to side. I've got my front and back. I'll put this thing down on jack stands and then get a feel for the, for the suspension. Actually, that doesn't really matter. It's gonna land where it lands with the, no, actually it does matter because I'm gonna have adjustability with my coilovers. So let me do that now and just get that measurement, get it on camera. Now, I have to be a little bit careful because the front tires are not hitting, so I don't want this to lift off of the lift. Okay, so passenger side, it is 7.25 from the top of the axle to the bottom of the frame rail, 7. So somewhere between 7 and 7.25 for the ride height. Now I'm going to disconnect the drive shaft and just hang it up basically, and then I can take out the rear axle. There you go. Do that. Lift this up, do that. All right. Dude, she's a done. Let's get all my tools out of here, all my nuts and bolts and nuts. All right, that's very light in the butt now. So I think I'm going to probably put a jack under the front of the car. Now I don't have to worry about it. See, when you unload the back like that, the truck gets even more front heavy. So I just put a little support jack underneath the motor or the cross member, And now I'm ready. Okay, well, I'm out of batteries, but it's a perfect time to end the episode. The rear axle's out, rear suspension's totally out. The four-link from TCI comes on Wednesday, and I can start getting it done. In the meantime, I'll cut the old wedges off of the axle, clean that up a little bit. I can take off the old axle hangers and things like that. So we're making great progress. So this was episode 1 of 4 or 5. I hope you stay along for the ride. I think it's gonna be great. I think this truck is gonna be awesome when I'm done. It was already awesome. It's gonna be even more awesome. So hope you like it, Dad.